Hey, what's up? This is HerShe. I'm from the USA. And this is episode 2 of a Beatboxers life documentary.
It's a double trouble when I'm walking CC. Gemini, get the mood up peachy. Lipton, so you know I'm sweetie. Blowing heat with the 4-track EP.
So there's a couple ways I got into beatboxing. When I was a kid, I have a story where I fell down my stairs and I said, fuck. And I do remember being kind of fascinated by just that little, I was like, what is that little noise? And so I would always just kind of try to mimic that a bit, or mimic the birds just by whistling. My mom also used to, my mom had a fast tongue in the sense where like, she would call over like my dog Princess or one of the kitties, and she'd go, you're here. And I was just amazed by how fast she could do that, and I could never do it so fast, and then eventually, just mimicking her. And I realized actually a little bit later on in my life that I was mimicking my mom a lot, because she used to make a lot of sounds, but I didn't really get into beatboxing or I even know what that was. That's when I started making sounds. But when I was 11. I was 11 years old in 2007. I saw Blake Lewis and Dougie Fresh on American Idol. And it was, this is called the show. I was so just like taken back by, my jaw dropped to the floor. And really Blake Lewis and Dougie Fresh were the two like pinnacle like idols to me for a very long time. And I was just like, so from then on I was like, what is that? You mean to tell me like all the weird sounds I've been doing forever, I can like make music with that? That sounds great. So yeah, from there I just kind of went with it and discovered, beatboxing online, not the scene necessarily, but like just videos, and I would watch a lot of Slither and Beardy Man. Those were my two favorites growing up, really. So, and then it was just kind of obsession for years and years from there. So here we are. So I got into the scene, and really, it's actually very interesting. I met Honeycomb when I was maybe 18, 17, and we were both doing a festival. I loosely say festival. It was a festival, I think maybe Fitchburg, Massachusetts. And I had my beatbox set, I think I was doing like 15 minutes, out one side of a gazebo. And he looked at me in the crowd, and he came up to me, he was like, who are you? After I did my set, I was like, who am I? Who are you? He goes, come watch. I was like, okay. So I go to the other side of the gazebo and I watch him beatbox, and I was like, oh, this is the first beatboxer we ever meeting. I was like, oh, wow, you do what I do. And it's so funny, they booked us right next to each other. It was so weird. But yeah, from there, we just became friends and we started performing together a lot. And he introduced me to the scene. He made a battle. It was called the New England Beatbox Battle. And at that point, I had then, after meeting him, I started to form, what's it called? It was Boston Beatbox that I started to form around that time. And it's funny how it happened. There was this beatboxer, I think he was from China, actually. And he could barely speak English, but he wanted to beatbox, and he found me online somehow. I think I maybe posted a video, and he's like, hey, I'm in Boston. Like, do you want to meet up? I found all these other people on this app. I have no idea what the app was called, but he hit me up on Facebook, and he's like, we're having a meeting. I was like, sure. And that's where I met Green and State Street and a couple of other people that just loved beatboxing in Boston, in my city. And I was like, holy shit, this is so cool. And so we all just started having meetups weekly. We would and just hang out, and it was a lot of fun. And then Decoy eventually started getting there too, Alex P. And then we all went to the battle, the New England Beatbox Battle. And that's where we met everyone. And I was kind of removed from the online scene. I never really went on Ventrilo or Discord or anything like that. But what I did end up doing was I kind of took an online break from just watching videos for a while. And then once I started to get back into the scene, or finding the scene at all, then it sparked my interest again, because I focused on DJing for a while. Yeah, but then we went to the battle. That's where I met Napalm and BBK. I met Chris Solis, Amit, Kenny, Villain, Kazoo, etc. Like, I met a bunch of people there, and that's where everyone was like, who are you? I was like, I don't know, who are you? Because I didn't know who any of these people were, and at the time it was 2015, and Napalm had just battled in the World Champs against, obviously the famous battle against him, and what was it, Alem, right? Yeah, that's right, for finals. And it was cool because I remember they didn't know who I was, and I'm pretty sure, like, they've told me, we've talked about it, they thought I was a groupie. They're like, who are you? Yeah, okay. And then I go up and I do my Alim, and they're like, okay, like, it wasn't bad, whatever, cool. I get into the battle. My first battle is against Amit, and I'm just fucking going ape shit. I'm going heavy. I got that like thing, and I didn't know who the fuck Tyler W was. That's just what I like to do. And I remember I was looking at Amit on stage because I was looking at him, and I remember he just went, and he was like looking at me, and he was like, who the fuck? I remember seeing Napalm's face. He's like, and then everyone in the crowd was like, what the fuck? And then I kind of gained the respect a little bit because they're like, oh no, she's legit. Okay, she's here because she's doing this. Cool. So that was cool. My first battle was against Amit, and then we all just became friends from there, and the rest is history. My first international event was GBB 2018 when Codfish won. And that's where I met my best friend, Bass Ventura. So that was a good damn year. That was good, yeah. And then what else did I go? 2018, I went to a lot of international events. I went to GBB, which was a lot of fun. And then that's when it was in Switzerland. And then I went to Great North, also a lot of fun. Oh, obviously World Champs and World Camp that year as well, where me and Bass Ventura actually battled against MB14 and Sorrow at the camp, which that was the birth of Wolfgang, right? Wolfgang? Yeah, it was the birth of Wolfgang, which was pretty cool. And then I competed in Worlds, and I made 5th place, if you're technically speaking by placements. Battled Verver, lost. But it's all experiences. It's crazy. It was fun. I had fun doing my Lim. It was hot. It was so hot in Berlin. It was ridiculous. And I have never felt more terrified to. I don't like doing solo stuff. I think I've realized that. As much as I'm trying to push myself to do that stuff, I would prefer loop if I could loop, and I definitely prefer tag teams because I like coordination with someone else. Me and BV, the Dawn, the G. Me and BV, we always clicked, like, from the minute we met. Really cool, love his vibe. He's a really genuine guy. We talk all the time, all the time. But we got really, really close actually during quarantine. He invited me to, like, join in this, like, group chat called Skeetle, and we would just play Call of Duty throughout the whole fucking pandemic, and it was me, BV, Hunty, Villain, Phonetics, and King Inertia. And we're all pretty fucking close, and it's just been, I've been very grateful to have all of them, and also very grateful to have BV, and we have such a great dynamic, and we help each other a lot, and we've all of us have, like, helped each other through a lot, and we've been through a lot together. And I'm grateful for all of them, and they're, like, my best friends, so. And I'm very glad. It's nice to have best friends who understand, like, the world you're in. You know, we all motivate each other or piss each other off or get into fights, but then we make up, and our connections are stronger after that. Yeah, he's a great guy, you know. Really feel lucky to call him my best friend.
Tell us about how you started DJing.
How to start DJing. Listen up here, kids. You want to start DJing? I can tell you how to do so. All you got to do is have $5,000, regret, and get paid shit. All you got to do is push out all of your mixes. You want to get everything into a little bottle and just fuck it up. And you want to just, what am I going to do today? Oh, all right, I'm a fucking DJ. boom. And then you get a controller and then you put your mixes on SoundCloud or Mixcloud or whatever. And then you try to like go to your local bar or electronic show and get paid in exposure. And then you hit the sync button and then you fuck up live and then you feel embarrassed. And then you keep going. You know, you just keep going. That's how you get into DJing. No, but for real, the real way you want to get into DJing. I'm trying to think. Well, the way I started DJing, my parents bought me 2 turntables. They were Gemini they were direct drive. They were the XL 500 Mark IIs. They were direct drive. They weren't belt driven, thankfully. And my first 2 records were A Tribe Called Quest's Midnight Martyrs and also Dr. Dre's The Chronicles. And I would just sit there, especially my Tribe Called Quest is my favorite. I would sit there and I would do this back and forth. And I would try to also emulate that. I would like go back and like actually try to mimic the record. So at first, when I first started DJing, I had a giant, that my parents also bought me, a giant Newmark mixer with an iPod stand. You could plug it in and then play from your iPod as well. And it was a 4-channel when I only ever used 2. And I would plug in another iPod. So I was fading back and forth between 2 iPods, playing for tips to try to save up enough money to get a laptop. And then that's when I only had like half. My dad lent me the other 500. And then from there, I got that and I picked up used CDJs on Craigslist. I was a really big Craigslist DJ back in the day, and I started when I was 14. So, do I know how to tell you how to start? At today's day and age, if you're of age, you want to start doing electronic shows? No, I kind of fell into that and wiggled my way in there. But if you want to start DJing and doing private events, that's what I did. And I got like a CDJ 800 and 1000, which it looked really funny because one of them was silver, one of them was black. So it was just, and one of them was smaller, one of them was bigger. So that's what I got though. I think I bought them maybe both for like $150 each, $200 each, $250 each maybe, something around there. And then I got Tractor and I learned how to wire everything, and got my dad was letting me use his giant speakers forever, and then I finally bought my own, and then just kind of rolled from there. But then when I started to like really get in that was like me in the DJ world, and then it was my DJ and beatbox world. I've always said is like a beautiful marriage, because it is. It's really complementary to each other. But I've always been like bouncing and shifting my focus on one or the other. It's never like both like at the same time.
What was your favorite show?
Oh shit! I hate to say it, GBB. Yeah, probably my answer, just because the crowd understands me and I understand the crowd more than any crowd. My answer last year probably would have been GBB 2019 at the after party. My answer this year is this GBB after party for 2021. Yeah, that was my favorite show I think I've ever done. But there's been a couple that have come close. But that one is number 1 in my book so far. My experience DJing at GBB though was very mixed. It was very mixed. I was not treated well as an artist. I'll say that. I was not treated well as an artist, which sucked. There was a lot of issues. I was not taken seriously, or not at least perceived like I was. The actual DJing part was fun, but my first set I had 5 sets. Well, I had 5 sets. I did 4. So I wrote a list about my experiences at GBB. I'll tell them to you. My issues with GBB. When I got to the hotel, no one knew what pass to give me, so I didn't get one. I asked Joe, and he said, "Not now," and walked away. I went to the desk and asked again, and he yelled at me and said to relax. Okay. Everyone else already had their lanyards on. I was like, all right. The next day at the venue, I couldn't get in for 20 minutes because I wasn't even on the list as an artist. Neither could BV or Kira, the girl I brought to film. Juliana had to come and get me, and I was arguing with the security, mind you, for like 20 minutes. I'm like, I should, they're like, you should have a pass. You should have a pass. But they didn't give me one. Great. In the middle of my first set, as I was about to end, they changed my time to add another 25 minutes, which messes up the flow of my set because I played up all my bangers first. So now I'm just like, this is not the way it's supposed to be. Fucked up. I wasn't even recognized on the schedule as an artist. It was a DJ break, though they did have DJ Hiss on the schedule and the other DJ's names on the schedule. Nice. Sinjo originally told me had originally told me at the after parties that they were going to be in a different room or venue, and another DJ was on the schedule for right after the second night. And as I was about to leave, like something like told me to stay. I didn't feel quite right. So I asked, and they told me that I was playing, even though another DJ was on the schedule. Even Scott thought it was a different DJ playing, which was very, very frustrating because it was right after a loop showcase and the room kind of cleared out. Though I still managed to bring people back in, but it was just a lot of miscommunication. I had to constantly chase people to figure out what time I was playing. No one even knew who to tell me, who to ask. The sound was awful on stage. I had no monitors. Me and Bass Ventura's sound check got canceled. And we were pushing on stage. We couldn't hear BV at all on the monitors. He had no idea if he was on time or not rapping when we performed our track differences. I wasn't even on the schedule for sound check, just Bass Ventura, making me feel like not included in my own performance. One of my bigger time slots that I had at the after party right after the winter ceremony, Sinjo decided to, so basically with the after party, for the winter ceremony, I was on the schedule to play, and even Scott introduced me. It's actually on the Swiss Beatbox live stream where he introduces me, but then he's like, oh, Sinjo. Apparently Sinjo's original schedule had him playing that slot, so he just kind of took it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, fuck this. So he wanted me to play 45 minutes after his set, and I said, fuck that, hell no. I felt very disrespected. But we talked about it, and it was just a miscommunication, but still not okay in general. I felt very disrespected at the time. I had no representation on the flyer, which was very odd because I did in 2019, so it doesn't make sense. I was also not on the cards, the Swiss Beatbox cards, like they promised me from last time. I was not on the GBB cards. When Paponi promised me that. And then lastly, which pissed me off, I think, probably the most, was I was told that I couldn't have my videographer stay with me, so I spent half of what I earned getting her an Airbnb when she could have slept in the same bed as me with no issues. So they told me that I couldn't do that, so I spent all of my money. I profited nothing, just getting her an Airbnb, and then flying her out. And yeah, I could have saved some money and actually profited, but their whoopsie was my 400 euro, or dollars. And I even wrote after this is how I was feeling after, performing at GBB, and which is why I will never perform at GBB again if it has anything to do with Swiss Beatbox. Sorry, guys. I'm a professional. I know how to handle these types of situations and make the best out of them. However, I will not be treated as a second-class artist. I'm proud of who I am, and I work really, really hard every day to be the best I can be and do what I love. I did not feel welcome, and I did feel like I was treated as if I was a joke. So that's how Swiss Beatbox and GBB made me feel at the time. Even though I did get apologies, it's just doesn't matter.
How did you start producing?
So I've always been interested in producing. When I was younger, maybe 15, 16? Yeah, I'd say 15 or 16. I remember I was still in high school, maybe even middle school. No, probably. It might be middle school or high school. I remember I didn't know how to produce, obviously, so I went on this website called soundation.com where I played around with a bunch of loops and I made my first couple beats on there. And that got me really interested in trying to figure out how to make music. Eventually, I waited at my local guitar center, which is like a music shop. There was this box that was an Ableton box that had an APC 20 in it which is like a controller for producing. It had Ableton Live 8 standard. And I sat there and watched it get discounted and discounted and discounted, and nobody wanted it. And it finally got discounted to $200. And the Ableton 8 was worth like $900 at the time, or the standard was probably worth like $5. And that alone was like, holy shit, I have to get it. And so I spent all my money and I got it. And I was so excited because I still had my 2009 MacBook Pro. And I downloaded it. And by the time I had downloaded 8, Ableton 9 had just come out. And so I had a free upgrade to Live 9. So I was like, and obviously 9 was huge at the time. I was super, super excited with that. And then I remember I didn't touch it for a year. Nope, I was too intimidated. I tried, it looked just so scary and I didn't understand it. Eventually, I started trying to make beats and follow like, what's it called? Tutorials. And there's one instance, I remember this is when I think I was closer to my senior year in high school, that I had this Bitch Better Have My Money remix out by Rihanna. And I was so frustrated that I couldn't understand the program, but I could beatbox. So I had my friend Engine, shout out to Engine, NJN, at the time, who was a pretty good producer at the time. And I think I had met him on Facebook or something. I really can't remember how I met him. But I asked him, I was like, can you produce this song for me? I have an idea in my head, but I just can't fucking write it down. He said, sure. So I had one song and one song only ghost produced technically. So basically what I did is I sent him me beatboxing it. And I was like, can you try to make this into a beat? And he said, yeah. So he did. And then he sent it to me. And then I remember keeping that inside and everyone thinking that I made it. And I felt so terrible. Like, I felt awful. Everyone was like, oh, your remix, I love it. Da, da, da. I was like, was it me? You know, I was like this down. And I vowed from that day on, I will never, ever, 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 ever put something out that I did not do. Even like on today, like I took the time and I learned Ableton. I launched all the tutorials. I made all of the shitty tracks leading up to what I do now. And I feel grateful. I met my friend Anthony, who, when I was working at Guitar Center, met him through a different ex-mutual friend. And we made our song Broken in 2019. And we also made a song before that. We did a Borgore remix contest. And he taught me a lot about producing. I do owe a lot to him. And which is dope, but he was very, very hands-on. But he wouldn't let me be so hands-on, and that turned me off. And I really wanted to, because now I was learning from watching him a lot when he was doing his own projects. But it made me feel my fire more to be more hands-on. And now, like, taking the reins and taking control and learning, like, everything I possibly can has made me the producer I am today. And I'm still, like, an okay producer. You know what I mean? I'm not even, like, super good. Hopefully that will change, you know, with time and this and that. But it's in a way feeling like you have to prove yourself. But I don't want to ever be labeled as one thing. Because I just do so many things. I rap, I DJ, I beatbox. Even someone called me last night a rapper. And this one dude was like, well, what else do you do? And she's like, well, basically that's what you do, right? I was like, what? I was like, no. I was like, I don't even consider myself a rapper because I feel like, I feel like more of a lyricist than like a rapper. I feel like I feel like that's a title that has to be earned. You know, being a rapper. I have earned the title of DJ and beatboxer. I don't think I've earned the title of rapper. But that's why I feel like doing stuff like this is nice, because you can tell people what you do. But I DJ, I beatbox, I sing, I produce, I rap, I write, I do content, I stream. It's cool. I love networking. I love going to shows. Honeycomb says it best. Showing face is the best thing that you can do for yourself, even if you're not performing. Because, for instance, we went last night to a show where I wasn't performing at. I performed the day before, and that was a lot of fun. But then I went last night, and we're a little rowdy. I'm kind of beat up right now. But just walking in a room and people being like, yo, HerShe, or like dapping you up or whatever, that's important. because, you know, just putting your face out there is always going to be good, because there might be somebody that you want to impress in a room that you don't know, that you should know. But if other people know you and are giving you the cosign, that's going to make you look good, obviously. But I also just like, I don't know, I'm a big fucking, that and like, you know, networking aside, I'm also just a big nerd for sound in so many different ways. I'm a big sound geek. You know, I love intricate, like, things where I'm like, oh, I can tell, like, that shit has, like, OTT on it, like, or whatever, like, which is a lame example, but, like, even, again, with even beatboxing, like, we can hear, like, little, like, or, like, what are, like, stupid sounds that we can do, like, oh, you know, like, it's all about the music, and just being able to share that with people that you think are cool, you know, that share that with you. Like, I love just talking nerd shit behind the scene. Like, me and my friends Yuki with Anthony, one of the guys in Yuki, we were talking about beatboxing, we were talking about resampling, we were talking about like some sound design stuff, and like it's just cool to like pick people's brains and like just genuinely like vibe with people. Like I think honestly, like that's my favorite part about going to shows and like networking on that sense and that end.
What would you say is your future goals starting now? What would you say is your goals?
I mean, really my goal is I just want to start being able to do what I do and making a living doing it and not have to worry about finances. You know, if I can be traveling and touring and performing and making music and being successful, that's all I want. Live streaming for me is very intimate, especially when it's less than like 100 people watching, just because it's a great way to talk to people, connect with your audience, connect with your fans, connect with like a crowd. You know, essentially it is an at-home crowd where it has a little more anonymity. Anonymity? Is that a word? Anonymity. People are more anonymous. I don't know if that was a word or not, but I love it because I get to be goofy and silly and put on a show. Like at the end of the day, like I'm an entertainer, you know, and I love putting on a good show. I love, you know, giving people I love making people laugh. I really do, and I like people. There's two sides to my entertainment. I love either making people laugh or I love making people happy and impressed and like feeling good with my music. So that kind of takes off two sides, because then I'll do production streams, or I'll show them what I'm working on. You know, I give them a lot of exclusives of like my IDs and my whips, and seeing their reactions and how they like things. And sometimes I'll be doing, you know, production streams, and they'll tell me what to do, or they'll like give me tips, and same thing with my beatboxing. So it is it's almost like a relationship. You know, I have like a relationship with my stream, and I wish I could do it more often. But sometimes it's great, sometimes it's rough, you know, but I love doing it, and I started doing it ever since maybe early 2019, I think. I've learned a lot in my 25 years of living, and I have a lot to learn in the rest of however long else I'm going to be on this planet for. If I were to give like life advice, you know, do your best not to lie. If you put good karma in the world, good karma will come back.